The Oedipus complex was first proposed by Sigmund Freud. It describes a child's unconscious desire for the opposite sex parent and rivalry with the same sex parent. This usually occurs between ages 3 and 6. For a boy, it means feeling love for his mother and jealousy toward his father. Freud argued that if the conflict is resolved, the child begins to identify with the same sex parent. This identification is what shapes the superego, or internal moral compass. If it remains unresolved, the person may carry hidden guilt, anxiety, or relationship struggles into adulthood. Although foundational to psychoanalysis, the Oedipus complex is not widely accepted in modern psychology. The Electra complex was introduced by Carl Jung as a counterpart to Freud's Oedipus complex. It describes a stage in early childhood, usually between ages 3 and 6, when a girl feels attraction toward her father and rivalry toward her mother. In Jung's view, this rivalry reflects a desire for paternal affection and a struggle for identity. If unresolved, these feelings can carry into adulthood as unstable relationships or attraction to older authority figures. Unlike Freud's theory, the Electra complex never gained the same level of acceptance. It remains controversial and lacks strong scientific support. A victim complex is the persistent belief that one is always wronged, mistreated, or powerless. This outlook often exists regardless of evidence and serves as a defense mechanism to avoid responsibility or self-reflection. People with this mindset may resist feedback, blame others for their failures, and struggle with personal accountability. Over time, this mentality can lead to passivity, resentment, and manipulation of others. It differs from actual victimization because the pattern is chronic and internalized, not based on specific events. The Peter Pan complex describes adults, most often men, who refuse to mature emotionally and socially. They avoid responsibility, resist commitment, and seek perpetual youth through their lifestyle or personality. This is not an officially recognized disorder, but overlaps with traits of narcissism and emotional immaturity. People with this pattern often delegate decisions, rely on others for support, and engage in escapist behavior. Their personal growth is stunted, and they may struggle with jobs, relationships, or basic adult functioning because of their reluctance to face reality.
The Superman God complex joins overblown responsibility with a belief in personal infallibility. The Superman aspect drives individuals to take on too much, believing only they can solve a problem. The God aspect adds arrogance and refusal to acknowledge limitations or accept criticism. Together, these traits cause a person to overextend themselves while dismissing the input or needs of others. They see delegation as weakness, rarely admit mistakes, and often burn out under their own unreachable standards. Their self-image depends on being both indispensable and untouchable. The martyr complex involves the psychological need to suffer or sacrifice in order to feel morally superior or validated. People with this pattern often place themselves in difficult or thankless roles even when help is available. They may resist solutions that would ease their struggle because their identity depends on suffering. This mindset can create the perception of being a noble victim, but it often masks unresolved emotional needs. The martyr complex frequently leads to burnout, strained relationships, and manipulation of others through guilt. The Tinkerbell complex describes individuals who require constant attention and validation to maintain emotional stability. It is named after the fairy in Peter Pan, who fades unless others believe in her. This complex shows up in dramatic behavior, emotional volatility, and persistent attention-seeking. The person may feel invisible or unimportant unless they are the center of attention. Fragile self-esteem makes their need for reassurance overwhelming, often straining relationships. The Messiah-Savior complex combines the belief that one is destined to rescue others with the psychological need to be needed. People with this mindset often disregard boundaries, stepping into fix situations even when help was not requested. They feel morally obligated to save others and may derive all of their self-worth from these rescue missions. This often leads to burnout or manipulation, disguised as altruism. In extreme cases, they equate personal failure with the inability to save someone else. The God-Madonna complex merges extreme self-superiority with polarized views of others, particularly women. The God aspect reflects someone who sees themselves as infallible, rejecting criticism and expecting obedience. The Madonna aspect comes from the Madonna-whore dichotomy, where women are seen only as pure and sacred or degraded and sexual. Together, this complex leads to unrealistic expectations, emotional detachment, and moral hypocrisy in relationships. It reduces people into simplistic categories instead of acknowledging full humanity. The Napoleon control complex blends feelings of inadequacy with a compulsive need to dominate environments. The Napoleon side comes from compensating for perceived weaknesses, often linked to insecurity about stature, status, or capability. The control side manifests in micromanagement, rigid routines, or social domination. Together, the person avoids exposing their vulnerabilities by overcompensating with strict authority. This often creates conflict in personal and professional settings because they rarely trust others to handle tasks or decisions. The Pollyanna guilt complex fuses compulsive optimism with chronic guilt. The Pollyanna side reflects a denial of negative emotions, insisting that everything is fine even when it is not. The guilt side causes someone to internalize blame and feel responsible for outcomes beyond their control. Together, this creates a psychological loop. Guilt triggers forced cheerfulness, and any slip in positivity reinforces deeper guilt. The result is emotional suppression, people-pleasing, and an inability to process distress in a healthy way. The hero-Othello complex combines a craving for recognition through staged heroism with irrational jealousy. The hero side, often called hero syndrome, drives someone to create or exaggerate crises so they can solve them and be praised. The Othello side adds pathological jealousy, marked by suspicion of betrayal or infidelity without evidence. Together, the person may manufacture emotional turmoil, then resolve it dramatically, while blaming others for imagined disloyalty. This behavior erodes trust and creates cycles of dependence and conflict in relationships. The Adonis-Ekbom complex connects distorted body image with parasitic delusions. The Adonis side involves obsessive muscle building and dissatisfaction with appearance, even when already fit. The Ekbom side, also called delusional parasitosis, is the false belief that the body is infested with bugs or parasites. Together, this creates fixation on microscopic imperfections, leading to compulsive grooming or extreme hygiene routines. The result can be social withdrawal and refusal to accept medical reassurance, driven by a distorted sense of bodily contamination. The superiority persecution complex fuses grandiosity with paranoia. The superiority side makes someone believe they are smarter, better, or more deserving than others, often masking deep insecurity. The persecution side creates the belief that they are unfairly targeted, judged, or conspired against, despite little evidence. Together, they interpret criticism as envy and disagreement as attack. This mindset reinforces their sense of uniqueness while isolating them socially or professionally.
We've traced patterns that bend lives, distort relationships, and quietly govern behavior. But what we've explored so far is only the surface. Behind every label is another layer, where control disguises itself as protection and loyalty masks manipulation. The real question isn't whether these complexes exist, it's how many of them are living, unchallenged, inside you. And if recognizing them shakes something inside you now, wait until we step into the next layer, where the need for control, obedience, and false loyalty reveals its true cost. This isn't an ending. It's only the start of what's been pulling the strings all along.